Hi, my name is Pia. I'm 13 years old and I'm Lebanese.
Hi, my name is Maryam Pia. I'm 15 years old and I'm from Pakistan.
We chose this topic because we feel strongly about it. Our topic is fossil fuels, specifically oil in Saudi Arabia.
We think it's a problem that Saudi Arabia, the world's largest exporter, could phase out the use of fossil fuels by the middle of this century. Fossil fuels were formed from prehistoric plants and animals that lived in hundreds of millions of years ago.
These are the world's top 10 oil producers. Saudi Arabia has 13.1% of the world's oil, Russia has 12.6%, the United States has 9.3%, China has 5%, Iran has 4.5%, Canada has 4.4%, Venezuela and the United Arab Emirates both have 3.9%, Kuwait has 3.7%, and the rest of the world has 36% of the world's oil. Saudi Arabian oil was first discovered in commercial quantities at Dammam Oil Well number 7 in 1938.
In 1938, there were three main factors that triggered the search for oil in Saudi Arabia.
Number 1 was the discovery of oil by the Anglo-Persian Oil Company at Masjid Sulaiman in the mountains of northwestern Persia in 1908.
Number 2 was the demand for oil during World War I.
And finally, the onset of the Great Depression. Today, one crude oil barrel costs $35.
And 40% of the citizens have no electricity because of burning crude oil. Last June, crude oil sold as much as $115 per barrel. Now it's between $45 and $50. That's a 60% collapse in price.
There has been all sorts of speculation about why the Saudis let this happen and don't seem to want to do anything about it. Saudi Arabia needs to sell oil at around $106 to balance its budget, according to IMF, International Monetary Fund estimates. The kingdom barely has enough fiscal buffers to survive 5 years of $50 per oil barrel, the IMF said.
That's why Saudi Arabia is moving so fast to maintain cash. The kingdom not only raised $4 billion by selling bonds earlier this year, but its central bank has yanked up to $70 billion from asset management firms like BlackRock BLK over the past 6 months.
BlackRock is an American global investment management corporation based in New York City.
These are the break-even points for the prices in the Middle East. These countries have reached a point when the profits are equal to the cost of the oil prices.
The current oil price in Saudi Arabia is $45, but it should be $106. The harmful release you get from burning is oil.
Saudi has spent $61 billion on fossil fuel subsidies, which is equal to 10.6% of the country's GDP.
But there are countries that spend more on fuel subsidies, like Kuwait, UAE, and Qatar. Using less oil is really important to our world because we do not want the animals to die or get hurt, do we?
That is why we should try to save electricity, stop polluting, and using less oil.
The most obvious environmental impact from the oil and gas industry is the burning of oil, which releases several smog-causing pollutants and greenhouse gases that contribute to global warming. However, the act of exploration and drilling for oil and gas also poses a major threat to fragile ecosystems throughout the world.
Environmental pollution is one of the major disadvantages of fossil fuels. It is a known fact that carbon dioxide, gas released when fossil fuels are burnt, is one of the primary gas responsible for global warming. Rise in temperature of Earth has resulted in melting of polar ice caps, flooding of low-lying areas, and rise in sea levels. If such conditions continue, our planet Earth might face some serious consequences in the near future.
Middle East countries have huge reserves of oil and natural gas, and many other countries are dependent on them for constant supply of these fuels. Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, is a group of 13 countries including Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and UAE. They are responsible for 40% of the world's oil production and hold the majority of the world's oil reserves. According to the Energy Information Administration, EIA, OPEC constantly monitors the volume of oil consumed and then adjusts its own production to maintain its desired barrel price. This results in worldwide price fluctuations, according to the US Department of Energy.
Sulfur dioxide is one of the pollutants that is released when fossil fuels are burnt and is a main cause of acid rain. Acid rain can lead to destruction of monuments made of brickwork or marbles. Even crops can be affected due to acidification of loams. Coal mining results in destruction of ecosystems and also endangers the lives of mine workers.
Pollution from vehicles and coal-powered power plants can cause serious environmental hazards. Pollution-related diseases range from mild to severe and can significantly affect one's quality of life. Air pollution can result in asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, or COPD, and lung cancer. Long-term exposure may increase respiratory infections in general population. Children and the elderly are most vulnerable to fine particulate matter and other airborne toxicants. Clearly, fossil fuel reserves are finite. It's only a matter of time when they run out. Globally, every year, we currently consume the equivalent of over 11 billion tons of oil and fossil fuels. Crude oil reserves are vanishing at the rate of 4 billion tons a year. If we carry on at this rate without any increase for our growing population aspirations, our known oil deposits will be gone by 2052. We'll still have gas left and coal too, but if we increase gas production to fill the energy gap left by soil, then those reserves will only give us an additional 8 years, taking us to 2060. But the rate at which the world consumes fossil fuels is not standing still. It is increasing as the world's population increases and as living standards rise in parts of the world that until recently had consumed very little energy. Fossil fuels will therefore run out earlier.
It's often claimed that we have enough coal to last hundreds of years, but if we step up production to fill the gap left through depleting our oil and gas reserves, coal deposits we know about will only give us enough energy to take us as far as 2088. And let's not even think of the carbon dioxide emissions from burning all that coal.
Aside from causing local air pollution from polluting particulates, the burning of fossil fuels releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which is a greenhouse gas that contributes to climate change. Moreover, many fossil fuels are reaching their peak, which is oil being the most rapidly depleted. At some stage in the near future, switching from fossil fuel usage to renewable energy makes sense from economic, environmental, safety, and health points of view. By starting your journey in conserving fossil fuels through changing your own uses, you can help others to see that a good and healthy life can still be without guzzling away these precious resources.
One way you can help is by reducing, reusing, and recycling. Making new cans and bottles take a whole lot more fossil fuels than recycling an old one. In most cities, recycling plants will pay money for cans. Be sure to meet that recycling center's requirements. For example, most recycling plants want the lids taken off the bottles, also known what you can and cannot recycle. Be energy conscious with your power in the home. This is both a way to reduce fossil fuel usage and your power bill. Nobody likes power bills, and power seems to go up every year, unlike incomes. So the more that you can reduce your energy consumption, the more you can save and live more smartly. Install solar panels. These have been expensive options in the past, but they're rapidly coming down in price as more companies make them and the market is expanding. In some places, local, state, and national governments provide subsidies towards their uptake. Use solar power to heat your water and your home. Unlike heaters, they don't use fossil fuels for heat.
Think of burning fossil fuels in a room with your children and your loved ones in the room. How would you feel? Would you want this to happen to you or your loved ones?
Don't think that it goes up in the air.
It always comes back to us in different forms or shapes. You think that 2 million square kilometers is huge and it won't hurt us just because it's a big country. This isn't accurate.
Again, think of it as a room. Would you want your children to live in this kind of environment?
Think about it.